Hi, my name is Rebekah Phelps, and I am a faculty member here at Purdue Global. I just wanted to give a brief video on what it is like to work in the Department of Corrections. I have most recently worked in a maximum security prison where my title was a clinical therapist or social worker 2 position. The population that I have been serving are incarcerated individuals, specifically males. Some of the main responsibilities in my typical week revolve around the intake and assessment process. So I see every single individual coming in to the state prison, and myself and my colleagues, we do an intake and assessment, determine who needs to be open with mental health, provide a mental health diagnosis, do a risk assessment, and do all the intake type of questionnaires. Another responsibility that I engage in would be crisis work. So there's a lot of crisis work with working in a maximum security prison. We also facilitate doctor appointments with a mental health prescriber. So we are present for that and help facilitate that arrangement. And then finally, providing clinical therapy. Some of the skills that are necessary for working in this position, the biggest one I would say is risk assessment. Suicides, unfortunately, are incredibly high in the prison system, especially when we compare those numbers to the general population. So you do have to have a strong skill set on how to do a risk assessment, and specifically how to do a risk assessment in the prison population. Crisis intervention skills are going to be necessary in that field as well. As you can imagine, in a maximum security prison, there's going to be a lot of situations in which there are strong emotions and people are going to be escalated. So being able to verbally de-escalate a situation is going to be very useful and very powerful. Other skills is the practice of safety of yourself and others. Safety is a big proponent of working in a maximum security prison because anything that you do can compromise your safety, the incarcerated individual's safety, and your colleague's safety. So that is going to be a huge skill, and to obtain that knowledge of how to be intentional with your actions. Other skills necessary, just learning the therapeutic modalities that you might frequently utilize. And what we frequently utilize would be brief crisis intervention, solution-focused therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. Sometimes dialectical behavioral therapy will implement problem-solving therapy, helping them develop some coping skills, and we definitely use a lot of motivational interviewing skills. Working on a team will be a huge skill and essential in this field as well. So in order for a prison to run safely and smoothly, you are working with many departments. You have mental health department, a medical department, the security department, testing departments. You have many departments, and you have to work together in order to problem solve and in order to treat this population. And then finally, the importance of documentation. So treatment plans, progress notes, risk assessments, but making sure that you are documenting everything. So being able to properly document will be a huge skill to have as well. What do I find most enjoyable about my work? I would say that every single day is a new day, and I love that. Every day is a learning experience. Every day is a new challenge, and every day I am surprised about the new situations that I am faced with and that I haven't been faced with before. I also really enjoy the fast-paced environment. Specifically in the type of work that I do there, it's very fast paced, so the time goes by really fast. The ability to make quick decisions, and is very crisis oriented, which I really enjoy that. I actually also surprisingly like that I don't have access to outside world. So when you work in a maximum security prison, you cannot bring in your cell phones. You can't access most websites. It's very secured, and there is a huge disconnect. And I've actually really liked that because I found that I'm connecting more in work than I do with distractions on the outside. I really enjoy the schedule. It's a Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 type of job, and I enjoy that to have a healthy work-life balance. And I have developed meaningful relationships with my colleagues. And I think the reason for that is because of that disconnect from the outside world. And because of safety, you work together so much. So I've developed such strong relationships that I haven't noticed as much in other jobs I have done. There's a lot of humor work in there. Everyone has a great sense of humor. So that has been great. And then also the ability to learning a whole new culture. It's learning a language. There's just a lot of learning in the environment that I really enjoy. Some of the biggest challenges that I'm faced with working in this environment is that at times it can be challenging balancing the work of mental health with security. And specifically, we follow a code of ethics, and sometimes security might not have knowledge of that code of ethics. And I might not understand where they're coming from either. So sometimes there's a disconnect there. For example, in the code of ethics, one thing that we highlight is adhering to the value of the dignity and worth of a person. And that can become tricky for security to understand when you're meeting with a very violent offender of how you implement that ethical component. The other challenge that I have run into is that you have very limited resources when you are working with individuals, because you can't bring things from the external world or external environment into the prison system. So you can't really bring in your own material. You might have really good workbooks on cognitive behavioral therapy. You can't really bring that stuff in. In some cases, you can get permission to do that, but it can be difficult because of security. So you can be very limited on what resources that you have available to you. And another challenge is the high rate of suicides. It does place a lot of pressure on you to make the best decision possible, especially in your assessment stage. And then finally, a lot of the individuals that we meet with tend to be in what we call the pre-contemplation stage of change. So they're not ready for change, and that can be challenging to navigate as well. Understandably, many of them are focused on meeting their survival needs, especially in a high violent area or situation. So integrating mental health into that can be difficult to meet that need. What advice do I have for human service students or for graduates about to enter the field? I would give you the advice of giving yourself an opportunity to explore. Be open-minded, be excited about all the opportunities that are present in this diverse field. When I first started in the field, I developed ideas of what I wanted to work with, and kind of got rid of all the ideas that I did not want to work with. And I created those ideas before I had the opportunity to try it out or explore that. And then thankfully, different opportunities have come my way. And now my mind is completely different than when I started in the field. So take those opportunities. Even if it's something you don't think you'll like, you will still learn something from that. Which leads me to my next advice, is reminding yourself that every experience is a learning experience. The good, the bad, everything in between. We grow professionally and personally. So maybe you take a job that you think is your dream job and it doesn't work out. That's okay. You learned from that. You learned more about yourself. So just kind of reframe some of those experiences. And then finally, be persistent in what you want. If you do have that dream job and you're having a hard time obtaining that, don't give up on that. Keep going and it will be delivered to you. All right, thank you.